Imagine this. A soccer tournament hasn't started. No goals have been scored, no trophies have been lifted. And yet, billions of dollars are already moving. Construction crews are working around the clock. Airports are expanding. Security budgets are exploding. Cities are rewriting transportation plans. And taxpayers across the United States are quietly helping foot the bill.
The FIFA World Cup 2026 is still ahead, but the spending frenzy has already begun. And the real question isn't who will win the tournament, it's why America is spending so much money before a single match is even played. Because behind the excitement, behind the packed stadiums and global celebrations, sits a financial story that's much bigger than soccer and much more complicated.
The World Cup arriving in North America in 2026 will be the biggest in history. 48 national teams, more than 100 matches, millions of visitors, billions of viewers. The tournament will be shared between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, but the United States will host the majority of games, including the final. On paper, it sounds like a dream. Tourists arrive, hotels fill up, restaurants make money, cities gain international attention. Everyone wins. At least that's the sales pitch. But large sporting events have a strange history.
The promises are always enormous. The financial results are often much smaller. And that's where things start getting interesting.
Here's what most people don't realize. The United States isn't building dozens of brand new stadiums like some previous World Cup hosts. Most venues already exist. NFL stadiums are simply being upgraded. That should make this World Cup relatively cheap, right? Not exactly, because stadiums are only one piece of the puzzle. The real spending happens everywhere else. Think about airports.
Millions of international visitors don't magically appear inside a stadium. They have to arrive first. That means airport terminals, customs facilities, transportation systems, roads, rail connections, security infrastructure, and crowd management systems all need to handle traffic levels far above normal operations. Suddenly, the bill starts growing fast. Then comes security, and this may be the biggest hidden cost of all. The World Cup isn't just a sports tournament. It's one of the largest global events on Earth. That means massive security operations involving local police departments, state agencies, federal authorities, intelligence services, cybersecurity teams, and emergency response networks. The security footprint resembles something closer to a major political summit than a sporting event. And security spending rarely generates headlines. People notice new stadium seats. Nobody notices thousands of cybersecurity specialists working behind the scenes. Yet those expenses can reach into the billions. Then there is the infrastructure effect. A city receives World Cup matches. Suddenly, projects that were supposed to happen over 10 years are compressed into 3. Road improvements, transit upgrades, public space renovations, technology systems, urban redevelopment. Officials often argue these investments would have happened eventually. Maybe, but the World Cup accelerates the timeline, and acceleration costs money. A lot of money. This is where the economic logic gets fascinating. Supporters say the spending is actually an investment.
The argument goes like this.
Visitors arrive, they spend money. Businesses earn revenue. Workers earn wages. Governments collect taxes. Economic activity expands. The World Cup becomes a giant temporary stimulus package. It's a compelling story, and there is some truth to it. The tournament will likely generate billions in tourism spending. Hotels will benefit, restaurants will benefit, transportation companies will benefit, local businesses will benefit. But here's the uncomfortable part. Economists have spent decades studying mega events like World Cups and Olympics, and the results often challenge the headlines.
Many forecasts assume every tourist dollar is new economic activity. In reality, some spending simply shifts around. Local residents may avoid crowded areas. Regular tourists may postpone trips. Businesses outside host zones may see little benefit. The gains are often more concentrated than advertised. Think of it this way. If a city gains 10 visitors but loses 6 regular tourists who decide to stay away, the net impact looks very different. That's where projections become tricky. And sometimes overly optimistic. There is also a strange irony hiding inside the numbers. FIFA itself often emerges as one of the biggest winners. The organization collects revenue from broadcasting rights, sponsorships, licensing deals, and commercial partnerships. Those revenues can reach astonishing levels. Meanwhile, host governments and local authorities absorb many infrastructure and operational costs. The rewards and risks aren't always distributed equally. It's a bit like throwing an expensive party where someone else sells most of the tickets. Of course, host cities aren't blind to this. They understand the trade-off because some benefits are difficult to measure. Global visibility, international prestige, future tourism, business investment, political influence. These things don't fit neatly inside a spreadsheet, yet they matter. The challenge is figuring out how much they're actually worth, and that's where history becomes useful. Previous tournaments have produced wildly different outcomes. Some cities experienced lasting tourism boosts. Others saw expensive facilities sit underused afterward. Some infrastructure projects transformed urban mobility. Others became cautionary tales. Success depends less on the event itself and more on how effectively the host uses the opportunity. A World Cup doesn't automatically create prosperity. It simply creates a moment. What happens next determines whether that moment becomes valuable. For the United States, the situation is unique. America already has large stadiums, a massive tourism industry, extensive transportation networks, deep financial resources. Compared to many previous hosts, the country begins with significant advantages. That reduces some risks, but it doesn't eliminate them. Because even wealthy countries face a fundamental question. Where should public money go? Every dollar spent preparing for the World Cup is a dollar not spent somewhere else. That's not an argument against hosting. It's simply economic reality. Resources are finite.
Choices have consequences, and those choices become more visible when the price tag reaches into the billions. As 2026 approaches, the excitement will continue growing. The commercials, the sponsorships, the countdown clocks, the predictions, the celebrations. Most viewers will focus on what happens on the field, but the larger financial game is already underway. Contracts are being signed, budgets are expanding, infrastructure is being built, and billions of dollars are changing hands before the opening whistle ever arrives. Which leaves one final question. When the tournament finally ends, and the crowds go home, and the cameras move on, will America look back at the World Cup as a profitable investment? Or as another reminder that the world's biggest sporting events are often won long before the first match begins?